All right. So, if you've been following along in our saga, folks, welcome to another episode of PGA Tour 2K23 course design tips. This is GeForce 41, and I am back at EraserGib's course. We've had two videos on his venture into course design. So, here we do course tips. I call them quick tips or casual coaching. We take a look at users' courses and viewers' courses, and take a look and give them some helpful coaching tips. We've been through a couple rounds of this, and he's got test version 3 out, and I'm going to take a look. And I am doing this off the cuff. I have not looked at it, I have not played it, so here we go. Has he taken my advice into account? I don't know. Let's see. All right, first hole. Let's see. All right, much better. If you remember, he was truncating his fairways last time. He's got some trees in. He had some floating trees, things like that. He's looking pretty good here. First thing I noticed is these trees are way too close to the fairway. So again, I don't know if you did the auto gen. You had that going the first few times. If you got rid of it, it looks like you did because there's nothing over here. But these trees are way too close to the fairway. This is a nice wide fairway. You got a good 3-wood option, and then it pinches around the dog leg. So that's okay. Yeah, you got to move that bunker in just a little. It's a little too close, I think, to the fairway. You want to leave a few yards, and that tree is in the way of that bunker, right? So you want to, resize and move that bunker and get rid of that birch. And move those. The trees, I think, are in good spots. Just too close to the fairway. I'd move them back. But looks good. You've got light. You got light rough. You got light rough. Good. Keep the light rough. Again, I don't like the grid lines. I'm fine if you want to keep them in. Anybody who's out there likes the grid lines, if you're doing a very country clubby kind of thing, fine. See, that's in play. You wouldn't like that Gib if you were playing casuals. You'd say not casual friendly, right? But a good placed tree is okay sometimes. I just think here they're just a little too close. Bunker sculpting. Let's take a look at the bunkers. So this looks okay. It's not bathtubby. You might have done some sculpting here. I would still flatten this and smooth this a little. Get to that flattened brush about 1 foot, 1 foot 2 inches. Something like that, and then you've got to trace around the edges because the edges are uneven. So the top of that bunker there, I'll try to put a graphic and arrow in. I take landscape, flatten the fuzzy donut, which is page 1, top right, and go up about 2 or 3 inches and make it a couple of yards wide. Not huge. You got to go around the whole circumference of the bunker. And really kind of smooth that out because it looks like just kind of flat and bumpy, and that will really enhance the look of the bunker. Okay, I think I do that on the Links Bunkers video quickly. I don't focus on it. You got a ribbon going around the green. I'll look at that in the next hole. If you keep doing that, you want to make that even. Hole 2, I like the interesting shape of the tee box, but see how it's bumpy? You might have done shapes and not a spline. If it's a spline, smooth the spline. If it's shapes, I'd get rid of the shapes and just put a spline in. And you don't need the light rough on the tee boxes because you don't see that kind of second cut on a tee box. So you can put in a fairway shape but not use the light rough on a tee box. That's kind of old school TGC 1 or 2 people would do that. You can if you want, if it's really country clubby. Same. So this hole, again, I think what we ran into in the first version is the holes are kind of similar. This is a very similar shape and distance to the first one. It's a dog leg right with trees and bunkers very close pinching at the driver. You got a huge 3-wood option here. And you had the split fairways going. So you've connected everything, which is good. These holes are playing very similarly. These are very similar holes right now. So that's a bit of a challenge. I don't know if you have room to change it. They're both going left to right, and they're both about the same distance. And they both got the kind of same concept. Even the bunkers are almost in the same spot. So that bunker's flattened a little. They're not bathtubby, but again, I think you need to work on that. And see what I mean? You got the tree right here. You'd never see that really, right? So I've just got to punch out here. I'm going to punch into the other bunker. So you want to think about that a little bit. I don't know if you can move this back or kind of rearrange it. Once you have the holes laid out, it's kind of tough. So that's something you got to think about when you're laying down the track and the routing. Just kind of switching the variation of the type of hole. Okay, third hole. All right, now we're going a little bit different shape. We've got two trees again. Those are kind of too much of an obstruction, if you ask me. I like the kind of kick a field goal hole, but I'd have those over to the side. Both over to the side. You've got the rows of trees here. They're all identical, right? So that just might be placeholders for what you fill in later to make a tree line, but you're going to want to vary that up, shape, size, type of tree, right? Because that just looks computer generated. So again, that's the that's my tree line video. Will help you there. You can copy and paste and do things there. Again, I know this is just a draft, so you might just have those there as placeholders. But so yeah, they're all identical. They look the same and computer generated. All right, so just be careful of that, newer designers. So you like this one? Now you're going. Yeah? So now that makes sense. Okay, if you're going to stop the fairway, have a reason for it. And a big hill like that is absolutely fine. And you haven't done that yet before. And you've got plenty of room. So I have zero problem with that. You see that quite often. I see it quite often in the courses I play. Sometimes people say, well, let's just go downhill. Well, not really. You know, around here, things get kind of soft. See what I mean? I'm not even close to the edge of the fairway, and I've got an obstruction. That's you can barely go over or under it, right? So that just doesn't work. We got punch. No, I don't want to chip. I want to punch. Right? Because I can't even punch it under that thing. Okay? Alright. So I told you I was going to look the ribbon around the green. Yeah, I kind of, that look, if that's what you want to do it. I think you got it good there. It looks fairly even. At the top, it looks a little thinner. You got to match up those spline points. I match them up with the green spline points, to be honest with you. And kind of go around from there. It's a little bit tedious work, but that doesn't look too bad. And you don't have to match them exactly. You can kind of just go out in a circle or what have you. Just make sure it looks nice. But, you know, it's just an extra step. Your entrances look pretty good. Again, I had a video, really, really overlooked aspect of design is the entrance to the green in real life, actually, and in TGC tours or anything on PGA Tour 2K23. You know, not that the folks at TGC tours overlook it. They do look at those things, is my point. If you're trying to get accepted, you know, these things will kill you if you're really sloppy with the entrance to the green and your general sculpting. So that looks pretty good, right? So that's a good entrance. Interesting shape green. Deciding whether if you should make that a little bit bigger around the green, the fairway ribbon. It's up to you. But I like the positioning of the bunkers here. That looks fairly flat. Again, it's just a little bumpy. I might add some depth to that. And then flatten more out here, the pan kind of section where you'd walk in. And again, it would really enhance your look. One, if you that's not enough room between the rough and the fairway and the light rough. Like you think about it. You got one giant step. You got 3 to 5 yards usually between that. So I just move it back, and then you've got to sculpt that with the fuzzy donut brush. Like this, the green slopes are fine. I haven't actually looked at what they're rolling at. Get back on there. Okay, the greens are 136. That's kind of slow. I would bump them up a little, especially when you're designing. You want to test them at a fairly fast pace in case people want to play them fast. What you don't want to do is make greens slower and then think they don't slope that much, and when somebody tries to play it at 170 or 60, you get yellows and reds and stuff where you don't think they are. So it's up to you where you set it at eventually, but I kind of design it like 160 or 70, and then bumping up and test it. I've bumped it down. I would always kind of build it like 175, but I know that's not where most people are going to play it these days. Just a note, I'm going to have a splining video out soon. I don't know if it's before or after this video. So this is what I mean by the kind of, see the kind of bumpiness of the rough. I know Gib told me he had some issues with it. It could have been that there was something else in there, but usually the spline will come out nice and smooth if you lay it down and sharpen and smooth it. And that's the subject of a video I have coming out very soon. This is just a little uneven, and you've got to go down one by one by one by one. You've got to space them out evenly. What that amount is, it depends on what you're trying to do. And get them nice and smooth so it looks clean and neat. This is a little bumpy and just a little too sharp there. You want those kind of smooth curves. Smooth them out. Just have that nice smooth curve going around over here, okay? And that's tedious work. It really doesn't take that long. To go around a fairway this size is only taking like 5 minutes. So give it a shot. Yeah, I'm back. All right, so no more talking. Let's get hitting the ball here. So that's a huge fairway. I talked about in the spline video that I'm putting together measuring before. And I like it's kind of a hogback fairway. And you want a huge fairway when you do that. This might be a little too big, but measure, have an idea of how big you want that fairway, right? Measure out 30 yards or 40 yards or 50 yards of width, and then pinch it, if you're going to pinch it, in various spots. Measure that out, and then kind of draw it in. That's kind of how I do it, and I talk about that at length in the video. Those look like shapes on the bunkers. So again, I don't know if you're planning on getting a little more creative with them, but don't just put stock shapes in as your bunkers, folks. You can use the shapes, but kind of vary them. Use a couple of different shapes. Move a shape around a couple of times. So yeah, this is good. This has got a little bit of slope to it. I think some of this was too flat, and you got a bunker down there on the left that's in a good spot. Again, it's just a little too close to the fairway. One piece of advice I give to a lot of designers is look at other people's courses, especially the master designers. And I don't consider myself one of them. I consider myself a pretty good one who knows what he's doing. But look at Matt F's courses. Look at Ben B101's courses. Look at Mayday's courses. Victory Lane Sports. All these guys are expert designers, and there are others out there. But look at where they put the bunkers. Look at the shapes of the bunkers. Look at the sculpting. Look at the things like how far are they from the fairway. Where's the tree? Where's the tree line? Of course, there's the great Arctic Fury, who's above and beyond most mere mortals. But take a look at that stuff and try to emulate that. And really look. If you've got to go out and try to even measure it, I mean, I know you can't, but guesstimate using this kind of aiming circle. Do that, right? Because you play these and you see these courses, and then you go out and you design things, and you're not emulating what looks just awesome. So go out and take a look at other people's courses. And make sure you're trying to put those techniques and that look in. Or, go look at your own course where you play all the time. Try to build that course. But look at the distance of the bunkers to the fairway, the height of the bunkers, the shapes of the bunkers, etc. This is kind of just a weird spot there. That's going in a little odd. I don't think you need that much of an entrance. I think you could kind of bring that in and then put the bunker there. So, basics, fundamentals, folks. Vary the shapes of those greens. Vary the sizes of the greens if you can. Sometimes you have a course that's really big greens all around, like we just saw one of the great courses of all time, the Lido. Really big greens all around. That's cool. Places like Pebble Beach, small greens. The course I'm designing now, a New England short but hilly course, small greens. Could you slide one in that's a little bigger here and there? Sure. Okay, I like this up the hill a little. All right, a little sculpting there, right? Because that's a little, that's just a little odd there. I'd smooth all that out. Okay. Again, these trees are too intrusive, way too close. Can you have yeah, you can have a tree, but that works better with kind of a little bit of a dog leg and not as close. A master of this is our own DD. Uh, David is awesome. He does this all the time. I mean, par fives. He has par fives that kind of have a gentle dog leg and a set of trees maybe over here. If we were doing it this way, he'd have a set of trees over here, and the green would be off in the distance to the right. And you think you've got plenty of room, and you hit it down the right side of the fairway, and that tree just blocks you from reaching the green into. Um, this is kind of just a little too obvious and blatantly right in front of you, because it's basically a straight hole, and then you've got a tree right there. That's gonna tick people off. You know, occasionally. Now I don't mind a tree in the middle. That's fine, because you got to pick a side. It becomes a strategic decision if if you manage the hole that way. But I think too many trees obstructing too many times, and you can't go to that well too often either. So that's another. We went to the well a few times in that already. Spline issue because this now I'm going right to 145. So with par threes, you've got to hit that spline twice in a row. You've hit it once here, and then you've hit it once here for the green. You want to make sure when you lay down the hole, create hole, you go to wherever that green is and go 1-2 without moving it, because then you're going to wind up with the spline out here. So you want that spline always kind of be in the middle of the green. Not bad. I like the shape. Again, it's kind of bumpy. I think there's just some general sculpting work to do to make it look better. You still want the contours, but it's not quite as uneven. So you can kind of use the landscape flatten brush. You can use a fuzzy donut a little bit to flatten, and then maybe landscape raise with the fuzzy donut to kind of get the concavity. But right now it just looks a little bumpy and uneven. And this is that's something that comes with experience and a keen eye. And again, I urge everyone, just look at a course that's very well done and try to emulate that, and then be your own critic of your own work. Look at my course and say, does it look like that? And no, it's not going to look like Arctic Fury's course. But you can make some smooth contours and just play around with that brush. Design in the low light when you're sculpting. So I should say sculpt in the low light, because that you can really see the contours. Even if you don't keep it there, you don't have to keep it there. But sculpt in the low light. Write down what your preferred lighting settings are and go back to them, but just move it down to the dusk, or move the sun angle down, or time of day, or all of the above, and design into that favorable light. So I like this. So you kind of squared the green a little, and it runs out, but you got plenty of room. And then you've got the hole off to the side. I think this was the hole we were looking at where it looked very odd. I thought the hole was off to the left because the fairway went off to the left, and it wasn't going to where the hole was, and I was really confused. So this looks much better. Let's see what we got here. So now you can see how those trees just look repetitive, right? Again, so I don't know if this is just a placeholder, but your tree lines really enhance the look of your course. That's why I did that 2-series video. Fairway spline is really bumpy here. I kind of like that valley thing. You can do some interesting planting down there off to the right. Big curve here. All right, so now you're getting some valleys up and down. It's getting a little bit more interesting. This is interesting. You've got a huge entrance to the green, which is good. I encourage green entrances. It might be too big. That's an interesting shape. Not sure what to do with this. And you've got this green going kind of kidney shape, but that way. Gotta think about this. So I would say if you're coming in from this angle, from this side, this might be an interesting green to have it go this way diagonally. Let me put a graphic in. Go that way. Rather than it's kind of going that way. I just feel like it presents really kind of weird. Or you can have it straight on and be more circular. I just think this is kind of odd with this huge front to it. I would almost kind of I would say curve it around to, going left to right at a 45-degree angle, and then kind of slope pitch it that way, and then you kind of got to fade one in. That's your strategy here is you want to be off to the left and kind of fade it in that way. So I had moved the green out to the right more than anything, and you can have a little section off on the left there. But that just looked a little awkward to me. Again, there's no magic to this, folks. It's opinion. It's just my opinions. Definitely people have better... If you're watching the video and you have better ideas or good ideas, your own ideas, hey, put them in the comments, please. That's why I do this. Okay. So now you've got one going downhill. Same kind of thing here. Yeah, you definitely need some stuff over here. Like trees, and like I said, you don't want them over here. But you definitely would want to fill them in kind of over here. And this would not be a bad spot. That's a good spot for a bunker there, because that would be a heroic carry over that bunker. Okay, this is not presenting like it should. So you see, you kind of can't see the fairway. I would lower this stuff, right? Because I can't see over that. There's no you don't really need it that high. So you can lower all this. And present, and then I would lower the front of this fairway so you can see it, and then it's okay that's going downhill, and then you kind of have this bump here. Whoop. And this hill, I would flatten that just a tad, but I think, yeah, that's not bad because you can get that hill and carry it down to the lower section of that fairway. Again, you might want to do that and have the green going the other way, and this one's going left to right. I think you might want this one going right to left. Ideally, you want the ball out to the right side here. Or this might even work as just like a kind of straight circular green, almost like a classic Donald Ross with a narrow entrance to the green and bunkers on each side. Think like, I know this isn't a Ross, but Bethpage Black or Oakmont or something like that. Again, you got to think about the style of your course. What are you trying to do? You don't have to emulate Ross. You don't have to emulate Tillinghast. But you might want to think of a style. If you're going to go Rainer, but don't mess around with Rainer one hole, Ross the next. Where's your location? What are you trying to do? What is the style? Is you following a famous architect's kind of techniques? Go for it. You can put elements of everybody in there, but like I said, you don't want to be too crazy about it. Interesting. I like this. This is almost Redan-y, but it's too short for a Redan. That entrance is a little odd. I would almost go, even though it's not a Redan, I would follow the same technique. Get that fairway over here. Again, I'll put in a graphic. And then you can move the bunker out. Get it right in there. Right where the curve of the green is. Put one in there too. Have the fairway go around that. So almost like shaped like a Redan, but it's not 210 yards, and it's not really pitched to from front right to back left. The other thing you could do, if do you have room, is make it a Redan. Make it 200 to 210 yards. You have room behind. You got room behind you. You can do that, and you got a little bit of room by the river. You don't have too much because you got other stuff built in there, so you don't want to move that green too much. But you can move it back and make it very Redan-like, or actually make it a Redan. So I think I mentioned in the last video, use the templates of the famous designers for ideas and strategy. Do you have to be exact? No. It's the whole point of the template. It's a template. Think of a template for anything else you use. You take the template and make it your own. Be creative with it. 13. What's going on here? Another shortish 4. So you got another shortish 4 that goes a little to the left. All right. You need some strategy here. What I think this course needs, now that I'm thinking of it, is a little strategy. You need some water. You need a stream. You had one in the last hole. You maybe a pond here or there. Wouldn't kill you to put a pond or two in on some of these holes instead of bunkers. What you haven't used is a center line bunker, or you've used trees close to the fairway. Put a small tree and island in the middle of the fairway and work a left-right kind of thing. Or a center line bunker. You don't want to do it too much, but you can use that on one of the holes. So kind of same thing, same concept. You got the two trees, pinching everything, dogleg with a bunker. So we need to work on the variety a little bit. You know, the good thing is you don't have all those truncated fairways again. But I like the elevation change here. The screen is huge. Kind of big for a short hole. So if you do this, you want a big green on a short hole, this is when you can utilize different sections of the green. I hate to use the word tiers, but you could use tiers on this, but you really want sections that make the whole play a little bit more strategically. So that's one thing you can do if you have a big green on a shorter hole. Again, this is a bit of an odd shape. Not a bad idea. Again, this is a big green. Well, it's 206 yards. So you do want a bigger green. That tree is way too close to the green, right? Even this tree is a little too much of an obstruction. I would just, it'd be really pretty if you move it over. And again, you know, that actually looks pretty good. If you looked at my tree line video, if you move all those 3 trees over to the left and twist and turn them, and then you get that kind of seeing kind of that line pointing down that focuses your eye, and do that on the right side as well, this will present really well. But they're just too far off in your line of view. I think this hole a little too big on the green. Turn it around a little bit, and then you can have one of those greens where it's almost lion's mouth. You don't see lion's mouth on a par 3, but you do see some par 3s where you got a bunker right here. Usually they're a little shorter than this, because that's not a lot of room on a 200-yard shot to stop the ball. So you could do that, but I don't think that's a great hole location, especially if you put a bunker there. Well, I'm going to eat my words. That is a perfect hole location. Never mind anything I just said. It's all perspective. All right, another shortest 3. So I think you've got too many holes that are about 350 to 375. And they're all kind of doing the same thing. So we got to think through some strategy here. I'm doing this on the fly. But thoughts and tips from the audience are welcome here. That was a terrible shot. All right, so here you go. All right, so now here's a truncated fairway. This is fine, right? So, you know, take into account how wide you want that river. Do you want people to try to cross it? Then, you know, narrow that a little and make it more tempting. I think that's a good idea here. Because this is almost a leave-in hole. Actually, looking at this, this is a really good idea. You can make this a leave-in. So I would keep this stream right here, but just make it narrower and make it, you know, I can't do this here. I'll draw a graphic in and give people a chance to go across it, okay, on either side. And what you can do is, we'll get up to the green, I'll show you, but a leave-in hole has usually a diagonal hazard going across, usually a river, a stream. As in the original course, I'll look up, I'll put a graphic on the original course. And then you've got that bunker off on the left side. There's a hill, usually on the left side. It could be on either side, depending on which way the hole goes, that is in front of the green and kind of blocks the green a little bit. And you've got a downhill slope protecting the green. So ideally you want to be off to the right, but if you go off to the left, you've got a little less carry. So choose your angle. So it's strategic. Now here, it doubly works with which side of this river do you want to be on. Do you want to take the chance to go over it? It depends on the wind. This is a par 5, so this would be really interesting if you did that. So take a look at Leven holes, Leven. I have one on Carthwick, and I have one on Grashmore. Looks like Grashmore is how it's spelled, but anyway, it's I forget what number. It's like 13 or something like that. So this will be a really good idea. Here I got the wind in my face. I don't hit it that far, so I've got to lay back. But if you brought that in from the other side a little, bring it in on both sides. But so I like this concept. This could be a really good hole. But see, now you're getting a little different, right? Rather than the 350 or 360 kind of drive and pitch type hole, now you've got another template in there, right? So you'd have this and a Redan, and you're getting variation. Wrapping it up at 18. All right. Really short 4. Again, we're at that 350 kind of thing. I don't know where this is in the relation to the other course. You've got a lot of room here, bud. So I would do something with this. Where is the clubhouse? I don't know. Where's hole 1? It's a little hard for me to remember where everything is. But there's land there. I would make this a much bigger hole. I mean, we'll hit the drive here and I'll show you what I mean. Doglegging around. I'm assuming, I don't know what's over there. Is that 9? Yeah, that's 9. So I forget where. I think this is 1. Yeah, that was a tee box to 1. So I think what you want is the clubhouse somewhere around here. But you've got a lot of room to move this. So you could have that clubhouse way back here. I would, whatever you do, I would move this. I would add yardage here. Make this maybe a long 4. You kind of want that last hole to be dramatic. I don't know how much room you have off the tee box. It looks like you're kind of pinched in there. But that's kind of, yeah, you've got so many of those kind of short 4s. If you're going to do a short 4, the other thing you want to do is make it really short. You can consider drivable. That's kind of odd for a finishing hole. Or make this a very kind of challenging small green. It's kind of big, kind of surrounded by bunkers. Almost make it like, is it Olympic? I think it's the Olympic Club. 18 is a famous finish. I know the women played their Open there a few years ago, and that's where Lexi Thompson put one in the bunker, took bogey on 18. And that wound up costing her the U.S. Open. But that's a famous hole to think of, something like that. Because this is just a little too simple. But you can do something like that. See, you could whiff on it just like that. Like poor Lexi did on that final shot. And make it dramatic that way. But you'd have to really kind of shrink that green to make it challenging and scenic. But make that 18 really pop. All right, those are my ideas. Like I said, anybody else out there has bright ideas, hey, that's what we're here for. We're a fun, happy community. Join us on Discord, Casuals Golf. Join us on the society, and let us know what you think. Any tips for Gib or other designers out there, please leave them below. Like and subscribe. Happy to help anybody with anything they have on their mind. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.